It's Thursday, December 2nd, 2021. I was walking Anthony or Nucci to school this morning, and on my way home, I stopped. There's a crossing guard. She has a patch on her arm that says something about school crossing, and it's NYPD related. I've seen her with the insignia letters NYPD on before. She's a shorter woman, thin, and so I asked her. I told her very briefly about that I went to court with being told that everything was being dropped at Queens Criminal Court. Then they changed everything, and then I ran into somebody on the boulevard, and he said to call the NYPD domestic violence unit, which I did. I left a message. I was like, but I waited all day yesterday with no phone call back, and now today. I was like, is that usual? Is that a department that works every day? Are they, I mean, again, I don't know how the inner workings of NYPD works. So she said, oh no, they work every day. I said, all right. I said, well, is it usual? And so she was unclear. I said, all right. And one other quick thing, I said, yesterday I was walking on the boulevard with my umbrella. I said, I sometimes lean on it if I'm walking on a track kind of a way because my legs start to hurt. I was like, sometimes the sun, sometimes there's birds that might get my jacket dirty. It's kind of multi-use. I was like, but some woman on a bicycle pointed at me and said it looked like a weapon. I said, most ridiculous thing I ever heard. I said, now, I was like, is that something? Should I go to NYPD so they could have a look at it to know it's just an umbrella? I mean, how silly and ridiculous must I become? I'm a little unclear on what to do at this point in direction. So she said, then just I was like, no, I understand. I don't know myself. And so I just crossed the street and I walked back. And then I asked the actual police officers in uniform at NYPD on my way back home what their thoughts were. I said, is it reasonable? Should I be calling them back? I mean, I don't want to, disturb, but I also am disturbed by what happened. And so he said, no, he says, usually they call back within a day or two. I was like, all right. So I was like, thank you. And that was it. And so then I just walked back to the house. But I'm just keeping a log of my interactions with the locals and what's happening locally to protect myself from this confusing event that is going on around me. Again, there's a lot of different languages being spoken that I don't understand. I'm surrounded by it. My mother doesn't speak anything but English. English is her only language. She doesn't have, I mean, her mother was Protestant Irish, so they were, whatever they were here, minimal. They went for unity, but not whatever. And then I was able to learn a second language, but by curriculum approval for whatever was going on, they allowed me French. And then they allowed me in college, they required 1 year of language, which I, different than whatever high school was, which I attempted Italian. So this kid, but I couldn't, I mean, I wouldn't be able to speak anything fluently. I tried to listen, maybe some words here and there, but so this gets very daunting and confusing with all of these languages I don't understand around me at all, and being almost pinned down in a location that I'm not even, I mean, to go work at a restaurant at this point, standing is difficult because of what's going on biologically with my legs, with what's tied into the environment. So standing behind a counter, I would love to be able to do that, or work at the cash register at one of the local drug, but to stand 8 hours at this point, I'm pretty sure biologically I'm unable to. I'm limping down the streets. I have to come home on ice. So this poses a real dilemma for how to keep oneself safe, and be able to. Linda and Lou keep insisting that I need to get a job. I need to bring money into the household. I agree. I've always agreed that I need to be doing something. It's just I'm limited body functioning wise, and I don't know how to stay off the computer and the phone except for a document of what I need. So I'm just keeping vigil, I guess, or vigilant of my surroundings as they're becoming more changing. I mean, they call it a melting pot here. I saw it this morning on one of the Channel 2 news program that I've documented several times. There's a man somewhere in the world. He has a place called MAHAL. It's a mini or a scaled down model of the Taj Mahal. He built, they said, for $260,000. That is amazing considering what they spend on hotels in dollars. It's just, and more importantly, the story he told was very touching. I don't hear of such love ever, where where he had a wife, she had 14 children, died in childbirth, and he built this for her because he loved her so much. Like, these stories and these things don't really make it to the streets. People don't speak like that. Or, I mean, if they did, I can't understand them. I don't really have too many English speaking residents around here. I don't know why. In whatever this blend means, that they call melting pot. I don't know how that came about. Feels like a UN business office deal gone sideways, and I'm just stuck under an avalanche of how do we stay safe, and where do we go for instruction? So there's that. Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole Cateruzza. And this man who built this beautiful piece of artwork, really. He had these beautiful peacocks adorned on the wall, or peahens. They're peahens, I think is what they call them, on the wall as decorations. They were very beautiful. Not my style of home, but it is, again, a different type of artwork. So I prefer the visual landscape. When I walk out the front door here, there's a beautiful historical artwork piece of property across the street that is very reminiscent of like old world Europe, which is just a nice anchor to have here, since not everything is as visually pleasing with some of the newer builds that they've put up. To think about this. And the birds, I'm not a zoologist. I don't know the name even for a bird watcher, but they're a small bird. I want to say almost like a sparrow. They jump around to eat on the floor. Sometimes they'll go and sit in the tree. Sometimes they'll sit on the electrical line. They don't really fly much. I don't know why. Probably whatever's going around here that I'm feeling with the uncontrolled or unconditioned electric. From a nature point of view, with an artichoke and a Brussels sprout, since I don't really have any form of technological whatever. And I also noticed that at times there are pigeons that fly, but it's almost like they get let out of something. They go for a quick stretch of the wings, and then they go back to wherever they started, and then they disappear for the day or for a couple of hours or whatever. I've been trying to watch, if I can remember, to look for the birds, but I definitely have not seen Canadian geese. Usually they fly in a V pattern, that or a when they migrate, and usually the Canadian geese, when I was little, they always said that and the television said they fly south for the winter. So whatever Canadian geese were here used to fly south and then come back. The migratory patterns are off. I don't see them returning. I don't have a date on when they disappeared. It's just something that now I'm kind of noticing other pieces and tying them together. Because it's hard to know what's significant and what's not. It's almost like that movie, The Secret Life of Pets, where the pets are inside the apartment all day. The owner gets to go out and live an owner human life, while the pet only knows what's around the apartment all day long. So they live two separate lives, but they come together at some point to live one. It's kind of how I feel at the moment. But then that brings me back to, I still have not received my $100 back from whatever held me in NYPD. I mean, they put me in a cage. They sat me there for a long time. I didn't say anything unless they addressed me or spoke to me. I have nothing to say. I don't know what. But there was two non-familial members of NYPD that sat in front of 4 computer screens. No idea what that was all about. But I can tell you that they looked more like that artist who they referred to as something way. That's what they're without put it, because I don't know I'm not an artist that draws contours of eyes and facial sketches. I don't know the proper terms that are acceptable in the language of English or others. So I'm unclear, but they're definitely not of my lineage. They're not of my family member, but they are not also what I see on television a lot of. They stay off of the television, but there's a lot here. And I don't know region, territory, lineage, heritage, that nobody speaks like that or they don't disclose that. So while I sat in the cage, they were in front of me on 4 computers, not really speaking much to me. And then after that, then I was transferred by what I would say is 2 more familial looking officers that did the transport. But while I was being held in the precinct for reasons I still don't know, they didn't disclose to me. They didn't go over any papers, any words, or anything. And they took $100 out of my personal pocket, my last, whatever I had. They took one bill, they call it BILL, dollar bill. They put it in something they referred to as PETS, PETS, as a voucher system. And they said I could call a number and get it back, which I did several times. But they said that there was something with NYPD, there was a problem going back and forth. They didn't have the money, and I'd have to call NYPD. The real hassle. They're a horrible system. And so I never got the $100 back from the pets in whatever it is in their secret lives or whatever they're doing. And I mean, I'm an innocent public person who is in a situation that does not look right or does not feel right, and I don't know how to get. And this is at the same time where I see the municipality, they're showing on television, they took Thomas Jefferson, the statue, out of City Hall, where they supposedly, City Hall is where they write, I guess, legislate or policy, or I don't know how that works either, where they review things or they go over, I don't even know because I've never been in the building, I've never been invited. But they removed the statue, which I know is super important, based on the Black Hills National Monument of Rushmore. So, and our monetary policy, which is the number one thing, must be upheld within this area for the other states that expect proper everything. This becomes really, really scary situation, and I don't know how to protect myself. And be a good mother to my children in protecting their future by making some kind of document as I go of what I don't know. It just feels like a really dangerous world that I did not want, I never dreamed of being in or a part of. But I don't know how this is going at Universal. Like cosmology and planetary need to know things because locally there's a lot of movement that is really significant, and I don't know what's involved in Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole Cataruza, it's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxies, Broken.